Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to start by greeting you with the Islamic greeting of peace be upon you all. Firstly, I'd like to thank the Canadian government for giving me the opportunity to stand here today, as well as no peace without justice. I'm Yumna Desai, an ex-detainee, a South African citizen who spent 3 years behind bars between prison Rahban and Hayo, where my sister Huda was also kept for a year. We were never given an explanation as to why we were arrested. Today I stand here in front of you to share some experiences in political prisons in Saudi Arabia. Though I am not here today to speak about myself, I want nothing from the Saudi government, not the compensation that they promised me, nor my job that was taken away, or my personal belongings that were never returned. Instead, I stand here asking that the most basic rights be given to the rest of my fellow detainees who remain imprisoned in awful conditions. As an ex-detainee, I will do whatever is in my capability to highlight their plight. And because of my particular experience in prisons in Saudi Arabia, I stand here today to give a voice to the voiceless, to those detainees who have been physically and psychologically tortured, sitting there for years without trial, denied visits, phone calls, medical aid, and denied rights that are rightfully theirs. I will never forget the desperate look of my fellow detainees the day I was leaving, having so much of hope in me, begging me, Yumna, don't forget us languishing here while you enjoy freedom. Well, to me, freedom will never be freedom until every innocent detainee is free. Every person, regardless of whether or not they are guilty, should be given basic rights, especially within UN member states that are signed up to Universal Declaration of Human Rights. States supposedly make laws to protect people, and because they want peace and happier society. But are those above ensuring that these laws are being applied correctly, or is it only when media shed light on this that action is taken? It is not just people like Lujain Hatlul, Aziza Yusuf, or Samar Badawi, all of whom were in the same prison wing as me, that we should feel outraged about. This month marks a year since the arrest of human rights activists, but have the names of ordinary citizens detained for years, like Samah al-Nufai'i, Masha' al-Jalloon, Fatima and Aisha Balluchi, ever been heard? At the end of the day, it is the silent majority of ordinary citizens that make up society. It is citizens like my sister and I that languished and still languish behind bars, that have no name, that makes up society, and they all deserve a voice. Silence will change nothing. Silence will only cause injustice. We cannot let the many thousands of detainees become simple statistics, because behind every number is a story. 95% of the girls that I sat with during my 3 years, like myself, were innocent. In the first year that I was there, we were around 8 detainees. When I left, we were over 30, including children. It went from political prisoners to the innocent families to activists to just any person on the street. I even remember a little girl that was with us in the prison, 5-year-old Arwa, in her innocence asking us when she was put in a group cell and saw that her entire family had been imprisoned, will they bring our pets along as well? Where will we keep them? During my 3-year detention, I witnessed 4 women giving birth in prison. Today, one of the infants, Kayan Hussam al-Jahani, is still there. She will be exactly 2 years this month. I met innocent girls who were there simply because somebody reported them for an unknown reason, or because of something one of their family members did. I heard the stories of innocent detainees, and worse than that, I entered into a new world, a world of lies, lack of coordination from those above, lies that events did not take place in prison, lies to families of detainees that their families were okay, and lies to officials above them. Even though I myself did not experience psychological torture, every detainee in political prisons in Saudi experienced psychological torture. Detainees are left for unknown periods in solitary confinement. They are threatened with arrest and detentions of family members if they did not confess. They are denied phone calls. In fact, for the 3 years that I sat there, I was denied phone calls with my family because international calls are banned. My cellmate, 23-year-old Hanan from Syria, sat for over 2 years without knowing a single thing about her family. She kept begging authorities to at least give her just one call to ensure that her family was okay. The endless nights she spent crying, asking me if her family was okay, or did I think they died, took a toll on us both. Later we learned that both her parents were unfortunately killed in a bombing in Syria. What would those in charge have lost by giving her a single call to ensure that her family was okay? The list of violations are long, too many to mention in the short speech. During winter, the hot water would be cut off for those in solitary confinement. During summer, the water was scalding hot, burning our skins and hair. Today, my sister and I still suffer because of that. We were regularly denied basic hygiene like soap or adequate clothes. Married detainees were forced to sign divorce papers, and the many children who are imprisoned are kept in the cell almost 24/7. We're kept 24/7, only being let out when guards feel like it. In one instance, a mother, Salma Baluchi, was imprisoned with her 4 children, all younger than 13 years old. They were only allowed 1 hour out of the cell for sunlight. Every attempt by my family to try to understand what was going on and why was unsuccessful. They did everything as we described in Saudi law to secure my freedom, and still there was no clarity on my case. The only thing that was clear was that no one knew why we had been arrested and what could be done to get us out. It was entirely arbitrary and illegal, not just my case, but for the rest of the girls. At the end, I'd like to say imprisoning scholars like Sheikh Salman al-Auda and innocent infants like Kayan al-Jahani is not going to make your country better. You need to win people over, not drive them away. I ask for basic rights to be given to political detainees in Saudi and all over the world, for there to be set rules and laws, and that those above ensure that these laws are implemented, not where each one does as he or she wants. Political detainees are not criminals. Political detainees are not criminals. A different opinion or outlook on life should be embraced as a positive thing. Work with them to make your country better. Don't detain them. Come forward and say we are all human. Come forward and say that we have made mistakes. At the end, we are all human and make mistakes. All I ask for is change and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Yumna, for the testimony.